Morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's lesson. It's going to be a two-part series this week. We're in a rather tough part of the unit. So the first, this is the lesson we're going to be covering. 6.5, solving linear inequalities by using multiplication and division. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just discuss here solving one-step inequalities. And there's a number of rules that we're going to be focusing on. The first rule here is going to be, just let me make my pencils a little bit bigger here, is the first property right here. I'm just going to put a little purple kind of tick there. So what we're going to focus on in this first one, in this first example, is when each side of an inequality is multiplied or divided by the same positive number, okay? We have to make sure we keep this in the back of their mind. This is where all that integer work in the previous grades comes into play, okay? So we're going to be looking at positive and negative numbers as it is applied in an inequality, okay? So in the example right here, we have 4x is less than negative 12. It's always good to grade 9s to say the equation out loud so you understand what that means. So the first step in the solution right here is we divide each side by 4. It's only a one-step inequality, so it's quite simple. So we divide the 4x, divide by 4, and we have the negative 12 by 4. Now, I've included this important little note bubble right here. It says, when you divide each side by the same positive number, do not reverse the inequality side. Now, in the next example on the right side of the page here, we're going to be reversing the inequality. Also, when we have our answer, which is indicated right here, we have x is less than negative 3. On the previous formative, I've gone through, for those of you that have completed and marked it, I left some little bit of feedback on there. We're confused. Remember, we have to say this. So if x is less than negative 3, that means that any number that we substitute for x right here is going to be less than negative 3. It's going to be an open bubble or an open dot, and the arrow is going to be going to the left on our number line when we're graphing this. So that's the most important part right there. When we're doing our graphing of our solution, any number is less than that, okay? We're going to have lots of time to practice this, and we will be moving forward. The second thing I just want to look at in our one-step inequality is this property right here. So there's two properties. We have the first one, which is the same positive number. This one is when each side of an inequality is multiplied or divided by the same negative number. All right, and you'll see in this solution right here what I mean. So in this case here, I have negative 2c is greater than or equal to 8. All right. When we go through here, again, it's a single step. We want to isolate the variable of negative 2. In order to get rid of a negative 2, we have to divide it by the same. So negative 2 divided by negative 2 is c, and then I have 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Now, if I were to leave that there with this symbol right here, I'm just going to indicate this right here, it's not going to be true. So I have to make sure that when I'm dividing by a negative integer, the same negative number, I have to reverse right here. I have to reverse the inequality sign. You'll notice that right here, the inequality sign is facing towards negative 2c, but that does not make it true. I have to reverse it. So now it's c is less than or equal to negative 4. And when I go to graph that, again, it's important that we indicate that anytime we have an equal to sign underneath, it's a solid dot. Now, on the previous assignment in the formative, many of you had posted that the arrow would go the other way. No, that's not necessarily true, especially for this one, because any number on here has to be less than or equal to negative 4. So it has to go towards the left, the smaller numbers. Remember, it's less than or equal to. Okay? So those are the first two, and there is one more. Just let me flip to my next slide right here. Move myself out of the way. Of course, now we have to deal with division. right? So I have b divided by 2 is less than or equal to 3. Now, when one of the little clues in here is there's no negative numbers in here. So I don't have to, I'm not dividing or multiplying by any negative numbers. I just have to multiply each side by 2, as indicated right here. And when I multiply each side by a positive number, we do not reverse the inequality side. So again, we're getting rid of, these two can cancel out. I'm left with b over here, and this is 2 multiplied by 3. And this is b is greater than or equal to 6. Again, there's that equal sign underneath our inequality right there. So that indicates that we have to have a solid dot. And any number that fulfills this inequality, so is greater than or equal to -6. So I could have any number after that, and it would be true. Okay. When I come over here, again, I'm doing the division right here, and it's v divided by -3. Now, in order to get rid of this -3 right here, I have to multiply by -3. Over here on this side, right here, they had to multiply by 2, but in order to get rid of two negatives, I have to multiply. Then I'm left with v down here. And whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do the other side of the equation. So I bring the -3 over here and I multiply, and I'm left with -12. Again, though, when I multiply each side by the same negative number, I have to reverse the inequality sign. That's the most important part there. Reverse the inequality sign. All right. Now this is v is less than -12. It's an open dot because there's not an equal to. And any number that I substitute for the variable v has to be less than -12. So it can't be -11. It has to be -13, 14, and so on, so on. It could be even a decimal number there. It could be a fraction. It could be -13 3/4. It doesn't matter. Whatever number is less than -12. And again, you have to make sure you draw that arrow on there. It has to go in this direction, and we have to make sure we're drawing that on there. So this is the introductory video for this part. I will provide a few more questions and maybe online, and then we have to go into a two-step. So this is a single step. This is a one-step inequality. All right, so solving one-step inequalities. Make sure you view the video. I will provide a few practice questions after this, and then we'll be moving into this two-step inequalities. This is the last part for this unit, so that means we're probably going to have a practice quiz here sometime later on this week, perhaps on Friday, once we get through all of the tough stuff. All right? If you have any questions, make sure you come and send me a message or ask it to me today. Talk to you soon.